It is an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you today. I'm especially grateful to my parents for making the trip to come and celebrate this accomplishment with me. Thanks for being here. Also to my wife for putting up with class nights and keeping me fed through tight break times. Thank you. I grew up in a small town in Illinois. I remember playing office with my sister Kate in the neighbor's field when we were young. We used cut-off trees as our desks and made decisions that affected the resident farm animals. I think about that sometimes while I'm sitting at my desk in my office at Scratch Peck Feeds, and it always brings a smile to my face. I chose to move forward with the AJAC Operations Specialist Apprenticeship to make myself a better leader and communicator and try and learn skills that would help me further that goal. The fact that it was 4 hours a week and I could continue working full-time sweetened the deal. Sometimes the hours of homework and reading seemed a lot to handle, but at the end of the day, it was to further my career, so it seems worth the work. I was not the best student a million years ago in high school. I was arrogant and disinterested, and I thought I knew everything. The opposite was true with this program. I found myself pouring my soul into understanding the material and even learned how to make an attractive PowerPoint presentation for the final projects for my classes. When I began the program, I had a basic knowledge of how management works. I was already a manager at Scratch & Peck, and I had been running the day-to-day logistics for 10 years, so I thought I knew everything I needed to know. Through the apprenticeship process, I moved back to the milling side of the business and spent an intense 6 months doing the day-to-day physical tasks to get the job done. I then learned to run the milling equipment, and this gave me a comprehensive picture of what it takes to run a feed mill every day. I was at first intimidated, especially of our pellet milling system, which can be finicky on the best of days. Realizing there was no choice but to move forward through failure or success, I jumped in and learned how to run that machine. I have an intense appreciation for the work that goes into working in a feed mill at this point. Getting dirty and doing the basic tasks showed me what my teammates and employees experience on a day-to-day basis, and made me appreciate them more than I would from sitting behind a desk. That is one of the lessons of this apprenticeship. Walk the shop floor. Knowing your people and what they are experiencing in their personal lives, as well as valuing the knowledge they bring to their work, is vital in creating the culture and team atmosphere that harbors success and collaboration. I have always operated under the premise that I wouldn't ask my employees to do anything I wasn't willing to do myself. Through this program, I learned that it wasn't quite enough. To truly be a good leader, you must earn the trust of your charges. To be able to accomplish this feat, you must get in the trenches with your employees and work through the hard times with them. You must talk to them. You must ask how their families are. You must ask how they are. You must be able to read people and know when something is off and find a way to get to the bottom of the situation while accomplishing tasks at a high level. The work always has to get done, but as a leader, sometimes the most important work we can do is to lend an ear to our people and try to help them through their own personal situations. It is a delicate balance, but finding a way to walk this tightrope will help to form a truly unique team. I won't say it was easy for me, but I do care for people and genuinely want to be known for putting light into a sometimes dark world. So I will take the time to know my people and experience their joys and pains with them. I care because that is who I am. The fact I am lucky enough to work for an organization that values that style of management is a blessing, and I am grateful daily. The older I get, the more I realize that the human side of life is what makes it all truly beautiful. I have shared deaths and births with my crew, and out of it we have found something remarkable. We have found a work family, and that has made us stronger. I would encourage anyone who wants to move up in a company to take the time to recognize the people on your team and the value they bring to the job every single day. That doesn't mean letting them walk all over you, but if you set clear expectations and mentor and lead them daily through the example you set, going to work becomes easier and more fulfilling, and the sky is the limit on what is attainable as a team. Back to the AJAC apprenticeship, my journey started with manufacturing leadership development taught by Diane Hansel. She is a tough German woman who works on the shop floor every day and knows her stuff. I am grateful for the lessons she taught us about walking the shop floor and making sure to check in with your people. This lesson was reinforced through the entire apprenticeship, which is why it is one of the main things I took away from this experience. From there, we moved through production and project management and communications, both taught by the hilarious Dave Nagel. If you haven't had the pleasure of taking one of Dave's classes, I highly recommend it. He has a way of presenting the material with a sarcastic and funny style that reminds me of my own father's way of looking at the world. He is knowledgeable and witty, and it makes time go by very fast, which is welcome during class after a full day of work. We then moved on to Lean and Six Sigma Foundations taught by Daniel Clark. Here we learned how to make a DMAIC project. We used this information in our final project and applied it to our real jobs. We then had the pleasure to be in one more of Dave Nagel's classes with planning, management, and operational resources. We laughed our way through fall 2024 quarter, and even though the class was during Thursday night football, I only missed one class when the Seahawks lost to the 49ers. That alone tells you what a good teacher Dave is. Our last class on this 18-month journey was ERP Fundamentals, taught by Chris Agastolis. Chris is very passionate about teaching and rock hounding. If you don't know what that is, take one of his classes and you will find out, I promise. My coworker and I went through a real-life ERP system change at our work in the year and a half prior to this class. So when it came time for the final project, I took great pleasure in designing an ERP system that I wanted in my real life. I was surprised to learn that some of the things I thought I was making up actually exist in the real world, for a price. I want to take a moment to thank all my teachers for your contributions to this program. These folks all work full-time jobs and teach these classes because they want to give something back, share some of the knowledge they have gained along their own professional journeys. We are grateful. Thank you. Moving forward from the apprenticeship program, I got promoted to Materials and Logistics Manager of our facility. My current plan is to continue working it for Scratch Peck Feeds and putting the best animal feed out the door every single day. I will continue to strive toward a more equitable world where organic is a household word. This is a passion for me, and I take it with much pride to try and help people eat healthier and be healthier. I will strive to help my employees become the best versions of themselves and help them get the education and meet the goals they have set for themselves. I hope to one day make it to the role of operations manager for our Burlington, Washington feed mill, and from there, who knows? Sooner or later, our company will need a new CEO, and by then, maybe I'll have the experience and the knowledge necessary to take on that challenge. In my personal life, thank you. My CEO is here, so. In my personal life, I will continue to work in my garden and enjoy taking trips every chance I can to see the beautiful world we live in with my lovely wife and our 2 small dogs. As I mentioned, school was not my forte in my younger days. I found it boring and tedious. This reflected in my high school grades. Through the entire AJAC apprenticeship program, I kept a 4.0 GPA. This took a lot of work and reading and research for the weekly quizzes throughout the process, and with final projects, it took many hours of creating and practicing presentations to be ready for the final presentation to the class. I read this speech to my dogs this morning before I went to work. This was a significant investment of time and energy, and I am very proud of the work I put in reflected in my grades. If I could offer any advice to my fellow graduates, it would be to be open to the message and direction the universe puts in your path. If an opportunity is put in front of you to further your career or education, don't shy away from it. Grab it and go with all your gusto to learn and become better. If the goal is always to continually improve as a person, as a worker, and as a leader, then educating ourselves on how to do that effectively is a common sense step. As I grow older, I realize life has a way of putting what you need right in front of you. Listen to the whispers in the wind that give you direction and follow the breeze to the path of knowledge. Finally, be open to communication. So much of our successes in business come from how we communicate with others. Learn to approach situations with an open mind and an assumption of positive intent. We are all on a team, and to make our teams truly great, we must master the art of communicating with each other effectively. When this is achieved, there is no limit to what we can accomplish. In conclusion, I am proud of the programs we have all just completed. I am proud of all of us for getting to this day and putting in the work to be here. Thank you to my fellow graduates for striving to be better. There were many along the way that contributed to my success, and I thank them all. But for me, a few individuals were with me through the entire journey, so I want to shout them out by name. Lisa Scott. Thank you for your honesty and humor you brought to the classes and the collaboration we shared on many a breakout group to solve problems set before us. It was a pleasure to be in class with you, and I hope to continue to connect in the future. Colleen Bone, you with your internet issues and the way you took it with grace was an inspiration. You always nailed the final projects and were a continuing contributor to group discussions, and it was a pleasure to be in these classes with you. Also, my coworker, Ryan Wiederspoon, the constant conversation about class and the encouragement we were able to offer each other through the process meant a lot to me, and I am grateful to have shared this trip with you, my brother.
Love you, brother.
Look around and remember who was with you. Who was with you along the journey, and remember to thank them for the contributions to your success. I also want to thank the leadership team of Scratch Peck for giving us the opportunity to expand our horizons. To all the instructors and staff who take time to make these apprenticeship opportunities available, thank you for your efforts in our great state. Thanks to the folks at Washington State L&I for partnering with AJAC to put these programs forth. Lastly, thank you so much to my family for supporting me through the entire process and teaching me from a young age that you can do anything if you put your mind to it. Thank you to my wife for your constant support and partnership. I feel truly blessed and am very grateful for all of the opportunities put in front of me in my life. Thank you all for being here today, and enjoy the rest of your summer.